the update. My name is Jeff Savage.
And I'm Matt Thomas. And next week there will be a presidential election.
Yeah, but why do I care?
Well, I care, Jeff, because I can vote in this year's election. But I don't really know why you would care. I mean, there's got to be a reason, though.
Let's go to Phil to see if he can find some way to explain to us why it's so important to pay attention in this year's election.
Thanks, Jeff. I found Madison, Berube, and Coach Burnett to see why you should care about the elections.
I'm Madison Berube, and I'm a junior, and I'm in the APUS government class, and elections are important because even though we can't vote, they still impact us.
The reason young people should participate in our political process and pay attention to what's going on in our world and in our country is because a lot of the things that our politicians and candidates are talking about right now, like you hear terms like national debt, currency manipulation, Middle East policy, all of these things are major issues that will be decided over the next decade. And the policies that are put in place over the next decade are what myself and people younger than me will be dealing with when we're in our 40s, 50s, and 60s. When you talk about retirement age, what's going to happen with Social Security, what's going to happen with Medicare and Medicaid. All these issues are things that are going to have a major impact on our generation when we are older. And so very important for our young people to pay attention and know what's going on so that they are able to help decide our future when we do get older.
I remember the first time I voted, Jeff.
Wasn't that like last week?
Yeah, I voted absentee, so, you know, a little bit early.
Let's go talk to some more experienced voters to see if they remember their first election.
I remember my first election was the election for the second term of Ronald Reagan. I turned 18 in 1982, so in 1984 was the first time I was able to vote in a presidential election. It was Ronald Reagan and Walter Mondale. I believe it was Walter Mondale running, and I voted for, who I voted for, it doesn't matter. But I do remember that I voted in the Welford Fire Department, and the lines were long, long, long. It was like going to Six Flags. They had a queue line. We had to snake back and forth, back and forth. And I remember thinking, I was nervous because I wasn't sure what to do, and I might get up there and not know how to vote. I might do something wrong, and then I would be embarrassed because it was my first time as a voter. But it all worked out okay. It's pretty self-explanatory. So, if you just turned 18, you should plan to go vote in November.
Well, the first time I went to vote, it was back in the 2008 election, the McCain versus Obama election. I didn't really know what to expect when I went to vote because I had just turned 18 that summer, so I'd never done it before. And I went to the election center, which was set up at a local church. No idea what to do, so the people just handed me a card and told me to go to a booth. I had no idea that the machines were going to be taking my ballot. I did not know it was going to be electronic. So I got to the presidential choices and I pressed my choice, and then there were about 10 other candidates for various seats that I had no idea about. So I left a lot of choices blank. Since then I've read up on all of the other seats and the people for office. So I know a little bit more about what I'm going to be voting for in this November. But I'm definitely looking forward to voting again because I love having my voice heard.
Dang.
What are you doing?
Oh, I'm just checking my Facebook. You know, it's getting pretty crazy on here.
Is all that political stuff?
Yeah, people are very opinionated. You know, how about we learn some proper Facebook manners from Abby and Meredith?
If you've been on Facebook or any of the social media sites lately, you've noticed the number of political posts not only increasing, but becoming more intense. Social media allows us to say what we want when we want. While we're expressing our opinions, make sure you're nice and respectful while doing so. Here are some tips on how to be respectful and friendly while using social media.
Tip number 1, think before you speak or tweet. The old saying, if you don't have something nice to say, then don't say anything at all, is still relevant in social media. Make sure your posts and tweets don't offend anyone, and make sure you be able to say them to someone's face.
Number 2, agree to disagree or share but don't compare. It's okay to share your opinion, but you shouldn't criticize someone else for theirs. You might not agree with their opinion, but you still need to respect it.
Tip number 3, keep your post positive. Don't let your anger control your comments. Try to refrain from using a lot of exclamation points and all caps in your post. Avoid the negative comments.
Tip number 4, don't offend, just unfriend. Your comments can and will affect your relationships and friendships. It's not worth losing a friend over a difference of opinion, but if you're tempted to say something that could result in an argument, consider unfriending the person to avoid any future confrontations, or reset your settings or filters to avoid losing any friends. Or you could just not say something offensive and keep it to yourself. That way, you don't lose a friend.
Facebook should be a lot less hostile now.
Yeah, with those 4 tips, Facebook and Twitter should be clean.
Well, that's all for this update. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at OPS Update.
And be sure to visit the Silver Scroll to watch all of our updates and read our articles.
From all of us here at the Update staff, we'd like to thank you all for watching.
Here's a senior thought for the week.
Can I drill through this rock with this screwdriver?
Get some Clorox wipes in here.